Don't let that one loss distract you from the reality that the Oklahoma Sooners had a great week out in California.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to a bonus edition of Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there. Tune in and subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And this episode is brought to you by Mazda. Wins define the moment, putting in the work that defined you. Stay tuned for highlights in this week's Moving the Game Forward. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. I'm John Williams of Sooners Wire, and on today's show, we're going to talk Oklahoma softball. They went 5-1 in the Mary Nutter Classic out there in California. Their lone loss, an upset to Long Beach State. You don't have to go back very far, back to the 2020 season, actually, to find where Oklahoma lost to Long Beach State back then as well. But let's start with some of the positives here, because the Sooners went 5-1. They picked up ranked wins over Duke, a ranked win over Washington, both by run rule, mind you. And then they beat Cal, an ACC team that will be at least middle of the pack in that conference, and one of those teams that, if you're not focused and locked in, can certainly give you a run for your money. But the Oklahoma Sooners took care of business for the most part. Were they not as locked in maybe as they should have been? Did they struggle with runners on base against Long Beach State? They did, but they found ways to win those other 5 games. Again, they were pushed to the limit in a late game against Cal State Fullerton, ended up getting the win in walk-off fashion, but then the Oklahoma Sooners again pulled out a run rule victory in the nightcap that over San Diego State, picked up a run rule victory over Duke, and picked up a run rule victory over Washington. And I don't think you should take any of that lightly. You shouldn't take any of that for granted. Do you want to focus on the loss? It happened. It's one of those situations where if Oklahoma hits a little bit better, if they pitch a little bit better, they probably get that win. But this is good teach tape. That's a phrase you hear in football all the time, right? You learn from your mistakes. You learn from your bad outings more often than you learn from your good outings. If Oklahoma is to just go through and win every single game and run rule everybody before they get to SEC play, sure, they're going to learn a lot about themselves, but also they're going to take winning for granted. This is a young team with a lot of true freshmen that are playing significant roles on this team, and they've got to learn to win. They've got to learn what it takes to win. Yes, you've got Cassidy Pickering and Ella Parker and Ailana Agbayani, Isabella Emmerling. You've got veterans on this team, but they can't be the only ones that know what it takes to win and know what is required from a grind perspective in order to win softball games. And so while you hate to see a loss like this to Long Beach State, it drops Oklahoma in the polls, it drops them in the rankings. This is going to be one of those things that they can continue to point back to and say, hey, listen, if we're not locked in, if we're not focused, any team can take us. Any team can beat us if we don't bring our best every single day. And that's a lot of pressure to put on yourselves and a lot of pressure to put on a team. But that's the reality, is the way softball is, there are no guarantees. As talented as Oklahoma is, to steal a Herb Brooks quote from Miracle, maybe they're not talented enough to win on talent alone. And so this is a team that has to stay locked in. They have to make sure that, hey, we're not giving away at bats. We're not giving away pitches. We're not giving away outs on the base paths. We've got to be smart. We've got to play well to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward every single day that we step on the diamond. And listen, that's a hard lesson to learn sometimes when you're a young team. But again, I go back to that 2020 season. It was a COVID shortened season. That was a young team then too. Remember, it was a team that was filled with some significant key players. That 2020-21 team, Kinsey Hansen, I think, was a true freshman on that 2020 team. They lost to Long Beach State then too. They lost to Wisconsin in that season as well. And so winning is not guaranteed. It's hard to do what Oklahoma has done in the years from 2021 to even through 2025. It's hard to do that. They haven't missed the Women's College World Series Championship Series since like 20, 2018, something like that. It's been a long time until 2025. So this team has to learn what it takes and what is required to win every single time that they step out on the diamond. But there were a lot of really, really good things that came out of it. You saw some strong performances, you saw some clutch hitting, you saw some clutch performances again against big time competition, top 25 competition, and that's going to help serve them well as well. So while much of the focus and the attention is on maybe that loss to Long Beach State, don't lose sight of the fact that, again, they run ruled 2 top 25 opponents and then beat a Cal team that I think is a pretty solid team and is going to be an NCAA tournament team as well. Coming up, let's talk through our 3 stars from the Mary Nutter Classic here on Locked On Sooners. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open when the pressure's on and you need the right hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with less time, less stress, and even more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire. This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. We're also brought to you today by Mazda. This is Mazda's moving the game forward for those who know that there's more to the score than what's on the screen. Ella Parker was phenomenal. We'll talk about her coming up here in a second, but her performance against Washington stands out as the highlight of the weekend. And she reminds us that it takes extra work off the field, dialing in that every detail, giving it that extra fire. The grit and the eye never quit. Mazda puts that same passion into every model. Highlights make the real. What it took to get there makes it count. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you. And we're brought to you by FanDuel. You want to get to the NBA Finals. FanDuel can get you there live and in person. FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole experience. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And now it's time for this week's 3 stars of the week from Oklahoma softball. The Sooners had many memorable performances. I think, we got to see Miley Guachino's best kind of weekend as a Sooner. She pitched some really significant innings for the Oklahoma Sooners. But I'm going to start here. Kai Miner is my number 3 star. She was one of my 3 stars last week. The true freshman has been awesome to start her Oklahoma Sooners career. She was 10 of 15 during the weekend at Mary Nutter Classic. 10 of 15. That's crazy. She hit 667, and she had extended her 11-game hitting streak for the Sooners. Scored 6 runs, drove in 3. She now leads the Sooners with a .561 batting average. My number 2 star of the week, Ella Parker. She had that 3 home run game against Washington, and it was almost like, oh yeah, hey, I'm one of the best hitters in college softball. Let me just go take care of business. It was like Thanos with the glove. Fine, I'll do it myself. That was a terrible Thanos impersonation, but Ella Parker is that girl. She is one of the best hitters in college softball, and she reminded everybody of that on Sunday against Washington. Again, 4 for 4 day, 3 home runs, 4 RBIs, and she's now up to 6 home runs on the season and just getting started. This is a lineup that is deep. It's got a lot of talent. It's got a lot of pop to it. It's got a lot of power, a lot of players that can hit to the alleys, that can hit for extra bases. But if Ella Parker isn't one of the best hitters on this team, I don't know if they're going to be as good as they need to be. So this is a big step forward for Ella Parker, and she's going to be, I think, better down the road, especially as teams figure out, hey, we've got to throw to Ella Parker because Alyssa Parker is right behind her, or Kendall Wells is right behind her, or Gabby Garcia or Nelly Macaron-Marinas. You can't pitch around Ella Parker anymore because she's got some protection now in the lineup. And the number 1 star, this is going to go to another true freshman who has just been stellar through the first few weeks of the 2026 softball season, and that's Kendall Wells. She's up to 10 home runs on the season. That's because she hit 6 in the Mary Nutter Classic. She now also has 21 RBIs, which is tied for the team lead. Her 10 home runs leads the Sooners. She also had 13 RBIs to go along with her 6 home runs this past weekend in California, hit 450 in Oklahoma's 6 games. So Kendall Wells gets that first star of the game or of the weekend. Again, she's been great. She's going to continue to get better. She's going to grow, and especially she's going to see more challenging pitchers, tougher competition. That's going to help improve her game and get her better and better and better. But she's already off to a phenomenal start. I'd put out a stat last week that had Gabby Garcia, somebody that could threaten the single season home run record. Well, Kendall Wells went from 4 home runs to 10 home runs in a weekend's time. And this next weekend at Love's Field is going to have another opportunity to put up a big, big weekend, because they're not really facing high level competition. They're going to be tough and they're going to be tested. Everybody's going to bring their best to try and knock off the Sooners. But this is another opportunity for these young players to get a lot of at-bats, get them up to speed so that when SEC competition rolls around, they're ready for conference play, that the collegiate game is not surprising to them at all. And Kendall Wells is becoming a significant part of this lineup, not just somebody that, hey, we're putting Kendall Wells into the lineup to get her at bats. No, she's becoming a star before our very eyes to start the 2026 college softball season. And that's going to do it for this bonus edition of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're free and available on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to let you know when new episodes drop. You can follow me at John9Williams and read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. The show is at Locked On Sooners on all of your favorite social media platforms. But until next time, for my guy Jay Smith, who is traveling for work this week, I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer Sooner.